From the combined newsrooms in Eugene, Roseburg, and Coos Bay, KVAL News at 6 starts now.
You've been feeling those frosty, chilly, cold mornings set to continue this week. Freezing temperatures are expected to continue through the weekend, but that cold posing problems for the homeless community. Thanks for joining us. I'm Brandon Kamerman.
And I'm Kendall Bartley. Now with these freezing temps, we do know that usually warming centers open. Well, one Egan Warming Center location, they will not be open during the center's activation tonight, and a lack of volunteers threatens access to other locations.
With temperatures in much of Lane County set to dip below 32 degrees most nights this week, the remaining sites activated 5 consecutive nights since Friday. They are in desperate need of volunteers. Around 30 to 50 volunteers serve on frigid nights at any one time, and the staff there says sites have to be consolidated. The warming centers welcome more than 400 unhoused people escaping from the cold on Tuesday night. The Egan staff says the longer they're open consecutive days, the higher that number grows, and the need to give volunteers rest after consecutive nights serving.
We had to shut down the Church of the Resurrection on Hilliard so we could just funnel those volunteers to other sites where the need was higher. We've pulled our shelter support staff to kind of help fill in those gaps as we can, and we've also used some of our maintenance team. The worst case scenario is that we have to close a site and potentially serve less clients. We want to provide that space, and so a lot of our staff are happy to step in, but there is a toll.
Volunteers are asked for a 4-hour commitment from 10 a.m. to 2 a.m. or 10 p.m. to 2 a.m. or 2 a.m. to 6 a.m. They do tasks like kitchen work, helping prepare meals, or helping with outdoor safety and ensuring surrounding neighborhoods are not disrupted. Though trainings are taking place, the need is so great that for some, training can be temporarily bypassed.
They're welcome to just sign up and go down to the site, and they can go through a lot of that information there and then attend the training at a later time when they're available. We have an amazing team of volunteers that are incredibly hardworking and dedicated to helping people. It's just when we've been activated for so long and these consistent nights, night over night, they need time to rest. There is a vulnerable population of unhoused individuals in the city. Having a space for them to go and be warm and kind of prevent that hypothermic incident is critical.
5 locations open tonight, including 4 in Eugene, the Transportation Hub at First Christian Church, the Maxwell site on Maxwell Road, the Auditorium at Lane Event Center, and a youth site at First United Methodist Church. In Springfield, the Springfield Memorial Building is open, and they say with enough volunteer participation, the 5 remaining sites should be protected, though it's not likely they'll reopen that closed location. A volunteer training takes place tomorrow night at 7 p.m. It's happening via Zoom at the St. Vincent de Paul's Administrative Building on Chad Drive in Eugene. And we're asking people at home to log in and check out our viewer poll, which is asking, would you consider volunteering overnight at a warming center? And you see right now about 70 saying no, 40 saying yes. So there's still a good chunk of people who would be interested in volunteering overnight. Scan the QR code on your screen or head to our website, kval.com.
And with those freezing temperatures, many of Eugene's most vulnerable residents face a bitter reality. That includes the threat of hypothermia and displacement, compounded by ongoing encampment sweeps. KVAL's Tiffany Lewis joining us now in studio. Tiffany, this is something you've been reporting on for a while now. What have you learned?
Well, Kendall, while the city has policies to pause sweeps during severe weather, there are certain exceptions and nuances to the city rules. Outreach workers and homeless people report that these ongoing sweeps are still taking a major toll on those struggling to survive on the streets.
I mean, where are you going to move your camp to? Because you're taking the risk of moving all your stuff and getting hit by a vehicle, and it's traumatizing.
Ashley, a woman who's been homeless in Eugene for many years, recalls one traumatic sweep after another while trying to survive in extremely cold weather.
It makes it a lot harder to get off the streets.
The city of Eugene has established certain thresholds for suspending 72-hour camp vacate notices and encampment sweeps during severe weather conditions. When freezing temperatures 32 degrees or below are expected to last 4 hours or more, public camp cleanups are postponed until temperatures reach 40 degrees or more. But EPD will continue to enforce trespassing violations, and parks can still issue a 2-hour notice for non-established camps that have been set up for less than 24 hours. Advocates say these exceptions keep people in a constant cycle of survival.
I mean, it causes infinite trauma and destruction of their belongings, like what little belongings they had just got bulldozed, slashed, thrown out, just destroyed, taken by the city, hauled off in a work truck for them to probably never see again.
The City of Eugene's current protocols follow guidance from Lane County Health and Human Services. The city also says staff consistently provides homeless people with information on shelter options and other community resources. And according to Lane County's homelessness dashboard, 75% of Eugene's homeless population is unsheltered.
Thank you, Tiffany. And that cold winter air continuing to stick around overnight lows, remaining in the 20s, along with patchy freezing fog in the valleys. While we will see some of the same tomorrow, our next weather maker on track to bring more cloud cover to the area, but those freezing temperatures, they're gonna remain for now. Thank you, Alan.
Alan Matthews joining us, and yeah, it's been really cold. I know you're trying to paint a pretty picture here. It's like, it's not going to be quite as cold as we've seen, but
it's like one night it's not going to be quite as cold, and it's only going to be by a few degrees, so it's not going to help all that much. Yeah, unfortunately, this cold air has just really settled into our area, and it doesn't want to leave. And like I said last hour, we were at 40 degrees. We would drop into the 30s this hour. And that is the case. 37 degrees right now in Eugene under a clear sky. Winds are fairly calm and our humidity at 76%. Now, as we take a look at those overnight forecast lows, and you can see we're expecting them to be generally in the mid to upper 20s for Eugene and the Roseburg area, right around the freezing point for the Coos Bay area. And again, our record low temperatures will be safe for another year. You can see they were all set back in 1962. Now, clear skies tonight. That'll lead to some fog again tomorrow morning. Like I said, in the valleys, those overnight lows will be in the mid to upper 20s, but that cloud cover is going to increase as we get through the day on Thursday. Those highs will be in the 40s once again. And as we look at our weather headlines, we'll see freezing fog and frost over the next couple of mornings. That cloud cover increases tomorrow, but we're looking at a dry and sunny weekend. But those cold overnight temperatures, yeah, they're going to stay with us. We'll break it all down with your full forecast in just a bit.
In a reversal, the company responsible for J.H. Baxter's wood treatment facility, J.H. Baxter, has pled guilty to felony environmental charges. Company will pay $1.5 million in criminal fines, and the president of J.H. Baxter faces up to 2 years in prison for making false statements. The guilty plea, which happened this afternoon in U.S. District Court in Eugene, means the company admits guilt for the intentional illegal treatment of hazardous waste and violations of the Clean Air Acts pertaining to hazardous air pollutants. Now, this follows our previous coverage of the facility, which was responsible for hazardous waste making its way into the local community. For more on our coverage of J.H. Baxter, head to our website. And to news out of Salem tonight, Governor Tina Kotek designating education as one of her top priorities this legislative session. Today, a Senate committee heard testimony on bills concerning student programs as well as higher education. KVAL's Vasily Varlamos was there and has more.
Education is top of mind for Oregon legislators this session. One proposed bill calls for public investment in higher education. Ben Cannon is the executive director of Oregon's Higher Education Coordinating Commission. He shared data showing Oregon's public funding per student is 24% below the national average.
You just see here, I think, some really compelling data around for every additional $1,000 that a state invests per student, the way that increases the likelihood of students earning degrees as well as decreasing debt associated with students in that state.
Another bill discussed Wednesday has to do with the state's TAG program. Margaret DeLacy is the president of the Oregon Association for Talented and Gifted. She, along with Senator Kathleen Taylor, are working towards a bill requiring schools to submit information to the Department of Education related to kids in TAG.
Challenges in TAG education. The greatest challenge by far is the persistent myth that TAG students will thrive without any intervention.
DeLacy says the number of TAG students is falling. The number today, 15% lower than 20 years ago. She says district accountability and equity in funding is needed to improve the situation.
The lack of state funding for our TAG mandate leaves it up to districts to fund and maintain them. This produces huge inequities. Students in a few districts enjoy very well-designed programs. Students in other districts receive nothing at all, and many students have been overlooked.
This bill will remain in committee for further discussion. I'll keep you updated on its status.
That was Vasily Varlamos reporting. Tomorrow, the legislature will tackle issues like land use and early childhood and behavioral health.
Conversations about fire management and how it relates to indigenous culture and history took place today at the University of Oregon. The focus of the symposium held by the Just Futures Collaborative Group was to provide information and develop new strategies for an amendment to the Northwest Forest Plan. Now, the Forest Plan is a set of policies dictating forest management in Western Washington, Oregon, and Northwest California. It was adopted in 1994.
The original Northwest Forest Plan was lauded as a very wonderful achievement, and it was in many ways, but one piece that was missing from it was indigenous perspectives, indigenous science, and all of that long-standing knowledge that people have been prevented from being able to share and utilize on the land.
One point of emphasis for one of the speakers was how going forward, fire management needs to change its year-round approach, especially outside of wildfire season.
And as wildfires come through, then we kind of pick up the broken pieces. There is a lot of effort that needs to be power distributed into the proactive aspect. It's wintertime now to where work and strategy needs to be happening right now.
Alongside pushing for more indigenous perspectives, the symposium also focused on sustainability and inclusion when these large-scale forest management decisions are made moving forward.